So you want to hit 5K months in your online health coaching business, but you have no clients, no experience, and no idea where to start. Don't worry, I have been there as well. And in this video, I am showing you how I went from 0 clients to 5K months in less than 6 months with no fancy website or paid ads, just honestly, a lot of passion, ambition, and a story I felt like needed to be shared. I'm Brittany, I'm a business mentor and the founder of Paid in Paradise, where I help aspiring or struggling health coaches build 3 to 5K month coaching businesses doing what they absolutely love from anywhere in the world. So if you have no idea where to begin when it comes to building an online coaching business, I promise you, you are in the right spot. So before we dive in, I actually want to clarify what you guys don't need in order to build a successful online coaching business, because I hear this over and over again. These are the things that people think they need in order to get started. So what you don't need is a business degree or any sort of history in business. You don't need to pay for ads. You don't need a huge following. You don't need high-level branding. You don't need to go spend thousands and thousands on a fancy website or any sort of brand design, especially at the beginning of your journey. You don't need years of coaching experience. And most importantly, guys, you don't even need a certification. Do I recommend knowing your shit and being able to provide the education that your clients need? Absolutely. However, coaching is not a regulated industry. So at the end of the day, anyone can go to Instagram and put coach in their bio, and now all of a sudden they're a coach. Do I think that this is a great thing? No, because it brings in a lot of not qualified coaches into the industry. However, because the low barrier to entry, it doesn't require you to go back to school or invest in all these certifications before you get started. Instead, what you do need is you need self-belief, guys. You need to believe in yourselves that you are good enough to be here. You need some clarity on where you're headed in this journey. You need a passion to want to help people. You need to have a strong offer and good content surrounding that offer, and you need to have good back-end systems. But the beautiful thing about all of this is you don't need to know everything right now in this video, because I'm gonna show you how I hit 5K months using this exact 5C framework. When I first got started in this business, I didn't know any of the fancy business terminology. I honestly didn't know what marketing was until 2 years ago. My business vocabulary was actually quite embarrassing, and yet I was able to build a multi-6-figure business purely through organic marketing. And I always just had a huge passion for health and fitness. I know it was the outlet to just so many challenging times in my life, and I had no idea that I could make money from it unless I became a in-person personal trainer, and I just didn't want to do that. And now I am able to just travel the world, make money doing something that I love that gives me so much purpose and fulfillment. And now I'm going to give you the 5C framework on how to build your own 5K month coaching business. So the 5 C's in the 5C framework is clarity, content, connection, conversion, and community. Okay, let's start with the first C, and that is clarity. I got extremely clear on my own story. I brought myself back to the time where I was at my lowest point in my fitness journey. I wrote down the thoughts that I was having, the feelings that I had, the actions I was taking, the behaviors, the habits. I wrote down what kept me up at night, the things that I would cry over. And then I got really clear on the outcome that I was working towards. Why was I going to the gym at 5 a.m. when I was still partially drunk from the night before? Like, what was my driving force? What was that goal that I was trying to achieve? Back then, now we're going back probably around 4 years ago. Back then, my main goal was to have abs. Guys, I messaged every influencer you could think of, and I would always ask, girl, how did you get abs? Like, I would have done anything. That was my #1 goal at the time. I thought I would be more attractive. I thought I would be happier if my body just looked different. And then with this clarity, my offer became effortless to build. I knew exactly what she was struggling with and what kept her up at night. And then I knew what she wanted. So with my offer that I created, I just had to bridge the gap between the two. So if you're watching this, I want you guys to take the next 10 minutes, go grab a journal and think about, bring yourself back to that time where you were struggling, when you were going through something that you wish nobody else had to go through. Your lowest moment, what were you feeling at the time? What thoughts were going through your head? Because I need you guys to know that there are so many people out in the world right now that are struggling with that exact same thing. You know how she's feeling, you know the low points, you know where she's trying to get to because you've already been there. And if you don't get that clarity first, you can throw the other 4 C's away because they're not going to matter. Your entire business needs to be built on solving somebody's problem, solving a specific problem that somebody has. And then the second C is content. I created raw, real, and vulnerable as fuck content. I'm not talking about the content that's really generic, like, 3 tips to overcome binge eating. Like, all of that you can see anywhere, right? But what is your separator as a coach? The only thing that separates you from the millions of coaches that are out there is your story. So what I started doing is I started sharing the raw shit that most people are really scared to post. They worry about the judgment of others and what other people are going to think when they're posting the not so pretty sides of a fitness journey. And I'm sure we can all relate. Like, we know it's an emotional roller coaster 90% of the time. But when you log on to Instagram and all you see is people's highlight reels of their stories, I'm sorry, but that's just not relatable. So I would open up to my audience and I would be very transparent. Like, I used to binge eat 8 chocolate bars in one night. Like, is that the most unattractive thing? Yes, but you know what? It's real. I have a picture of it. Me and my cousin, we used to go and get so drunk on the weekends and I would stop at the convenience store on the way home and literally binge eat 8 chocolate bars. I talked about how I would drink alone in my room and my mom was concerned about it. I talked about blacking out at 1 p.m. on the beach in Thailand. And the more that I shared this type of content, the more other people felt seen and heard. Because when we're going through this stuff, we think that we are the only ones going through it. So you as a coach, as a leader, if you can take the initiative and just put your story out there, people are gonna be like, oh my God, I literally just did that this weekend. They're going to feel so seen and so heard through your content that they're going to immediately come to you for support. So when I started posting this vulnerable content, my ideal client, she saw herself in it. She identified with my story. And immediately, that's what created connection. Which leads us to our third C, which is connection. A big part of building connection is through the content that you're putting out, and it's also through DMs. And the DMs that I sent, it wasn't like those random dudes that you get in your hidden requests that are like, hey Brittany, and I mean, that's if they remember to change the name, because a lot of the times they'll just fucking copy and paste it and they call you something different, even these YouTube videos. It's like, hey Amelia, I'm like, who the fuck is Amelia? What? But you get these copy and paste messages that really turns people off because you could tell they're just trying to sell you something, right? So it's like, hey Brittany, saw your fitness journey, thought about hiring a coach? And I'm like, oh my God, delete. And I just mass delete all the requests. Those are not the types of DMs that I would send. Instead, I actually gave a fuck. I actually gave a fuck about who that person was on the other side, realizing that they're probably going through something that most people have no idea about. And what I did was I spent time building meaningful connections and relationships before I ever asked for anything. I would just ask how things were going. If I knew we had something in common, I would start conversations about that. I got to know them on a human level and got to feel out like, yeah, I do really vibe with this person. I like them as a human being. Do I want to work with somebody like that? Absolutely. If I know they're struggling, I know I have the solution to help them. Whereas there's a lot of people that they don't give me that vibe. They give the short answers and maybe they do have it in their head that I'm trying to sell them something, and that's their presumption, right? Like that has nothing to do with me. So I just don't talk to those people. I talk to people that send me voice messages because that's what I love to do and just want to talk about meaningful shit. So I was never actually selling. I was just supporting them. Because once we built that rapport, there's one thing that people tend to overlook that comes with that building rapport process, and that's trust. As soon as somebody trusts you, they're going to open up immediately because they feel comfortable with you. So I had a lot of girls opening up and sharing their personal stories and talking to me about them struggling. And they trusted me enough to want to help them. So they would ask me like, okay, what exactly do you do? They obviously saw it in my bio, but I would never bring it up. They would bring it up because they were the ones struggling. And now all of a sudden, selling never felt gross. Selling is a skill that you guys need in business, whether you like it or not, but selling to me is just helping the person. And when you just lead with empathy and compassion and care and not with that fucking $ amount in the back of your head, that's when walls get broken down, that's when connection gets built. And that's where you're able to form meaningful connections where people feel comfortable wanting to work with you and join your community. And then we have our fourth C, which is conversion. And conversion happens before the actual sales call even gets pitched. Conversion actually happens in the step that I just talked about with building connection. When you build that rapport with somebody, then you can start leaning into more of the fitness related questions, especially if they're initiating that conversation. So how to pre-qualify to be able to convert better on a sales call is number one, you need to figure out if they even have a goal. Some girls genuinely, it's crazy to me because I'm a very goal-driven person and I like achieving, but some people don't have goals. And I'm sorry, but that's not somebody that you want to work with if you are like me. So you have to figure out what their goal is. You have to figure out if that goal aligns with the solution that you are providing people. If yes, beautiful, move on to the next thing. Okay, what are you struggling with right now? What is your biggest challenge in trying to achieve that goal? Figure out why they can't do this on their own. Why are they stuck? Why are they in a plateau? Most people think they know what to do, but as we know as health coaches, that's not always the case, right? So you have to figure out what their biggest challenge is, and then you have to figure out how long they've been struggling. You have to make them so self-aware, like, holy shit, you just asked me that question. I just realized I've been struggling with this for the last 4 years. Then you could be like, girl, I'm sorry. I care about you because I know you, because I spent time with you and building this connection. You actually probably know her better than her own friends and family that you say, because I care about you, I'm sorry, but that is way too long to be struggling. Let me know if you want to hop on a call this week. I might be able to support you further. Would love to see if we can help you or not. That's it. That's conversion. And that happens before the sales call. And then we can get on all the sales tactics on the call, but it's pretty much a replicate version, just more in depth of that conversion process in the DMs. I'll create a separate video all about sales and the tactics there, but the number one thing, guys, if you are getting on a sales call, the number one thing is that you are bringing up the emotion of where they want to get to or the emotion of them struggling. So you need to always ask the question, why? Why is this goal important to you? Why is that important to you? Why is this important to you, right? Get to the true raw meaning as to why they want this goal. So if somebody says like, I want to lose 10 to 20 pounds, that's my main goal. You'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's an amazing goal. Like, why is that important to you? And they'll be like, oh, because then my clothes will start to fit better. Okay, yeah, clothes is something we wear every day. Yeah, that's super important. And why do you want that? Because then I'll feel confident enough to go out with my friends. And then as you can see, we're breaking down the layers and the layers and the layers to get to why they really want this. So again, I don't have time on this video to go through all the sales tactics, but I will create a video to help you guys out with that as well. So this leads us to the fifth C, which is probably my favorite C, but that is community. So because of the person that I am, and how I chose to show up online, which, as I mentioned before, was vulnerable, was raw, was very authentic, was relatable, and very transparent. Because I showed up as my authentic self, sharing the way that I did, who do you think I attracted? I attracted people that were just on the same wavelength, that were more open-minded, that wanted to talk to me about their struggles. And honestly, guys, I attracted a lot of people pleasers. I attracted women who were so caring and so compassionate and were in some sort of caregiving role in their job, whether it be a teacher or a nurse, therapist, some career that was always helping others. I attracted a lot of people into our program that had those qualities. So then why they came to me was because I positioned myself as, hey, if you join Revived, like this is your opportunity to finally put yourself first when you have been giving and giving and giving to others. It is for the people who care so much about the people around them, but no longer have anything else to give because they are depleted. So now all of a sudden, we're building this community filled with people who are so caring, who are so loving and supportive, and just understand the qualities that everybody has. So community, it was easy. People were vulnerable because I was in my content. They related to me, they felt seen, they wanted to share more of their journey, they wanted to feel like they belong somewhere. And now they're getting all of this support from people that are super fucking compassionate. So it's really important that you're identifying the qualities in people that you're looking for to make sure that it's collectively shared with a community. So another thing that a lot of our women have in common is they are high achievers. I talk about this a lot in my content. So we have girls that are burnt out, that again are giving to others rather than themselves. And now they're surrounded by so many women that are experiencing the exact same thing. That is how a strong community is built, is when people are sharing the same values and qualities. And I would say one of the best tools that you can use, that I have used in Revive to cultivate such a strong culture and community, is running weekly group calls. So every single week, I host a 1-hour call, I choose a topic, and whether it's me doing the training, sometimes I have guest speakers come on, we've had mindset coaches, financial coaches, you name it, and I'll run a training for education, but I'll also have calls that are just more open-ended. I call them queen circles. So I'll rotate. I'll usually have 2 education calls a month, 1 guest speaker come on, and then 1 more so open-ended. And yes, those education calls are very important because you want to be continuously giving back to your community. You want them to learn something new, feel like they're growing. And with the Queen Circle calls, it just gives them an opportunity to just talk their shit. Like there's a lot of people, they don't go to therapy. They don't have people that they feel like they can lean on for support. So now you're creating this open space to just allow people to be. So sometimes I'll lead with a prompt. Sometimes it'll be like, what are you proud of this week? Something that's more deep, I guess you could say. And yes, it forces girls out of their comfort zone, but hey, that's what I want. And next thing you know, with this prompt, people are just, they're opening up, they're talking about what they currently go through. And now you have all these girls supporting, commenting in the chat, relating, being like, oh my God, girl, I literally just went through that the other day. And now all of a sudden you really create this family feel. And what I've noticed over the last 4 years of building this business was the girls that do attend those group calls, they are the ones that are the most motivated, the most compliant, and they get the best results. So I use those group calls as a focal point to make sure that people are attending. And then over time, what I also started realizing was, yes, they were getting the best results, but the girls, they weren't re-signing because of these crazy transformations that they were getting. Some people didn't see any results. So I asked myself, why are they choosing to re-sign right now? And what came up was these girls re-signed because of the community. They felt a part of something that was bigger than them, and they felt seen, heard, and supported. So I will always take my stance on putting all of your energy and effort into building a strong community, because guys, we are in this age of AI, and that is one thing that AI cannot take away. People need belongingness and a human experience more than ever. And a reminder, guys, you do not need a community of thousands and thousands of people in order for it to be a strong community. All you need is 5 to 10 people that finally feel like they belong somewhere. And that's when a community becomes magnetic and starts to grow itself. So to hit 5K months, guys, as you can see, a lot of that process can start now. You don't really need to have an offer in place for you to go ask how somebody's day is going. Get into the DMs, feel comfortable just talking to people and not being fucking weird about it. Have fun with it. Get to know people around the world and learn about them. Get curious. Because if you start that process now, if you go and build 10 meaningful relationships a day, when you go put out your offer, I guarantee you are going to be successful. And your 5K month will happen like that because people already trust you because you already put the work in. And if you want to get a deeper understanding on how I was able to build a 30K a month business, I'm actually hosting a free masterclass called Wellness to Wealth. It is on Tuesday, July 15th at 7:30 p.m. EST. All you have to do is register with the link below, and I'm super excited to see you guys there. And if you are at a point in business where you're like, I need real support, I need real systems, I just need that step-by-step plan, then check out our business mentorship program, Paid in Paradise. Again, the link is below. This is my business mentorship program where I help women exactly like you build 3 to 5K months in their coaching business by taking their story, their passion, and turning that into a scalable business. So check out more info below. Hope you guys have such an amazing day.